Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Michigan City Park Board meeting for Wednesday, October 7th, 2020. If you could please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the republic for which it's nation, God, visible, liberty, justice for all.
Thank you. Shannon, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Latchford?
Here.
Mr. Freese?
Here.
Mr. Lang?
Here.
Ms. Esper? Here.
We have the minutes from our previous meeting of September 24th, 2020 that have been prepared and presented. Unless there are any errors or omissions or additions, we have a motion to approve.
I move we accept the minutes as printed.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
We also have the minutes from our special meeting on October 1st, 2020 that have been prepared and presented. So unless there are any additions, deletions, subtractions, you have a motion to approve?
I would so move.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
All right, the next item are our project updates. So if we can have an update on the old Lighthouse Museum project, please.
Yes, we toured the museum, the construction project on September 30th, we being the architect, the engineer, the Historical Society, and the contractor. We created a final punch list. I expect those items to be closed out within the next few weeks. And then we'll file for the final grant report. And I would just like to remind the board this was funded by the Lake Michigan Coastal Program with a $70,000 grant that was matched by the city.
Thank you, Ms. Eason. Any questions or comments?
I'd like to thank Shannon for all the time and effort. Long haul for it. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes. Shannon, were there any surprises during the project so far, or has everything gone as according to plan?
Everything went according to plan. There really weren't any surprises, which is shocking on a historical structure like that, but it really turned out nice. I'm guessing because of COVID, we'll hold off on doing a ribbon cutting until the spring next year, but the museum is extremely happy. The city, through grants and match contributions, has put in just over $500,000 in that structure over the last 5 years. So it's something to be proud of, and hopefully we won't be doing any major maintenance on that building for the next 50.
Excellent.
I'd like to make a comment. I did tour the Lighthouse Museum last week, and Shannon should be commended because many construction projects have a hitch, and this went without a hitch. And as I toured it, it's just a fascinating building, and the revival of it just looks fantastic.
Yes, thank you. So when projects go off like this, it's a culmination of everyone from the start of the project to the finish, to paying attention to details, for having the specs done correctly in thorough detail, for the contractors to understand them, the pre-conference meetings, to have everything go according to plan. It just doesn't happen that you end up with a good project, so it's a tribute to everyone involved and Shannon's lead.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any old business to consider tonight?
No, sir.
All right, move on to tabled business. Recommended that we have a motion to remove from the table the 2021 golf fees and agreements. So do we have such a motion?
I would move we remove from the table 2021 golf fees and agreements.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
So these were presented at our last meeting. We had brief discussion. Subsequently, we've been provided with a course fee comparison. So I want to thank Shannon for preparing that. A pretty detailed analysis of what Michigan City Golf Course is charging in relation to Beechwood, Legacy Hills, Briarleaf Golf Club, and Forest Park Golf Course in LaPorte. As part of this package from last meeting, we did pass number 1, which were the season pass rules and refund policy. We did that so that there would be time to send it to the printer so that we can begin selling them as soon as possible. So that leaves number 2 through 7 remaining. And we tabled it as we normally historically do to allow public comment. Are you aware of any public comment?
No, sir, there has been no public comment.
Thank you. Any further board comment or questions? The only change from previous years is adding the veteran as the same as senior, and that we discussed that last meeting. So if, one comment I'll make is that it appears the pricing is, we're priced fairly and competitively against all the other courses. The only thing you might say is that our course may be in better or worse condition than some of these others, but it appears as if we're at market. If there are no other questions or comments, what's the pleasure of the board?
I would make a motion that we approve the 2021 golf fees and agreements, specifically sections 2 through 7.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Moving on to new business, the first item is the approval to apply for the Lake Michigan Coastal Program grant for the old bandstand preservation project.
Yes, thank you. Included in your packet is another grant that we're going to be seeking to preserve the old bandstand now that the old Lighthouse Museum's done and the greenhouse is done and the Rotary Castle is done. We want to keep up our momentum on preservation. This is a pre-proposal for the coastal grant. It needs to be submitted by October 16th. If it moves on to the final round, we'll have to write a full grant application, which would be due on December 18th. This is a little bit unique, as in we are getting a $50,000 match from the Barker Welfare Foundation. The original bandstand, built in the 1890s, was donated to the city by John Barker, so they are very interested in this project. We'd like to name the bandstand the Barker Bandstand once it's completed and get rid of the old bandstand, or what I really personally hate, the gazebo, not a gazebo. And then the Unity Foundation has a fund for repairs and maintenance to the old bandstand. We've been holding on to that for quite some time to try to use that to leverage against a grant, or in this case, a grant and a foundation donation. So the total project is estimated at $200,000, with $100,000 being grant funded. This will not cost the city any money. So I would highly recommend that you allow me to submit this grant by the deadline of October 6th.
Thank you. Thank you, Shannon. Any questions or comments?
Shannon, I think you just said this, but so the match share that would be required for this, that will be made up with $50,000 and then that fund that we have saved. It would equal out that entire amount.
Correct. $50,000 from Unity and $50,000 from the Barker Foundation. And if I might add, there's approximately $80,000 in the Unity Foundation account specifically for repairs and maintenance to the bandstand. It's our intention next year to start a community campaign to replenish those funds, so to try to drive another $50,000 in donations to go back into that account for maintenance in 30 to 50 years. When we're faced with this situation again, it would be taken care of. And we also want the community buy-in. That's very important to the Barker Foundation, that the community is aware and that they support the project.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Shannon, you mentioned this was a summary application. I thought it was pretty thorough myself, so.
The big applications, usually around 600 pages. I do appreciate that the coastal program does a pre-proposal round, because it saves you from doing a lot of work to find out it's not eligible or that's not really what they're looking for this year. So it saves a lot of time.
With the short window between the pre-approval and if you get approved, do you have any concerns about just preparing?
I'm already working on the full proposal, because I am extremely optimistic this project will rise to the top of their grants projects this year. So I'm working on it.
Well, thank you, Shannon. If the documentation you've already prepared is a pre-indication of the thoroughness and helps us qualify, I can see why you're optimistic. If there are no other questions or comments, do we have a motion to?
I would just like to once again thank Shannon for the enormous amount of work that goes into these things. And I read this and I thought, this is good enough right here. And she says, there are hundreds of pages that yet have to go through that. So you're amazing. You really are.
Thank you. I will comment that we've been so successful using this grant program that a lot of the documentation's the same, so it's not as difficult for me to write the third, fourth, fifth as it was the first. So it is a tight window, but we can get it done.
I would be happy to make a motion that we give Shannon the permission to proceed with the Washington Park 1911 Bandstand Preservation Project.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
The next item is the 2021 annual zoo hours, fees, programs, and contract.
I expected the zoo director, Jamie Huss, to be here today, but they've had a few employees with medical emergencies, so I'm assuming she's still working late at the zoo tonight. This is just their annual request. The changes were outlined, and there was very few. Some of the events changed. Every year they change up the programming for like the top camps and the zoo camps just to keep them interesting, but nothing major there. Fees and hours would remain the same. I'm trying to think. I thought there was only one change.
Page 204.
I'm sorry?
Page 2
Page 2.
at the top.
Yeah.
Zoo cones with feed.
Okay, so the zoo cones are just like an ice cream cone with feed in them. They introduced those actually this year due to COVID to keep people from touching the feeder machines, and it's been very successful. They sell them out of the little coop concession stand right next to the goat yard. We purchased some. I thought they were much more fun than the feeder machine because the cone's fun when they eat it. But I believe that was the only change for this year.
I couldn't find any other changes.
And then I just remind the board, typically we'll table these. We would put them out on our website and make them available to the public for public comment until your next.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
I just have one quick comment. I read through this and I could not believe all of the activities and programs that are going on. And so much of this is educational, and I would hope that people, if you put this online, would have an opportunity to look at this and just see what is available for the people of Michigan State, and in particular for the younger people that are still in school. There's just an enormous amount of educational material going on here. So my hat is off to the zoo people.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Only that Jamie and her staff done a tremendous job, and they do throughout the year with everything at the zoo, cleanliness, care of the animals, and caring for the people who visit our zoo, which the last year has been over 100,000. Takes a lot to do.
Thank you. And I would just echo those comments. Between the zoo events, the outreach programs, the zoo camp, I had the same comments as Mr. Lang. I was surprised, or I've forgotten how much effort goes into this and how many opportunities there are for someone to enjoy the zoo. As Shannon mentioned, we historically table this for public comment and then vote for approval at our next meeting. So do we have a motion to table the 2021 zoo hours, fees, programs, and contracts?
I would make that motion to table the form we have here for zoo hours, fees, program, and contract for the year 2021.
I will second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
All right, next item is a request to waive fees for filming on park property.
Yes, filming at Park Property. This would be in Washington Park. The mayor was approached by a producer. The mayor was approached by a producer asking to film a portion of a movie in Washington Park. I take responsibility that he was not informed by me that there is a park policy for filming in Washington Park. He gave permission not knowing this, and I would like the board to vote to approve the filming and waive the fee for this partial filming of a movie.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Yes. Yes, just briefly, I did review the certificate of liability insurance in the 2020 local release, and it all does appear to be in order.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Has the filming already occurred?
No, it has not occurred yet.
This
and-
happens soon, though.
It
And-
will be soon, but we're not going to mention the date so they can have privacy.
That makes
Fair
sense. What would be our fee to do this?
Normally, our fee is $500.
Do you know if this is a documentary or part of a movie, or is right now, is that kind of a secret?
It's been kind of a secret
Okay.
because I have not been told, but since the fee is going to be waived, I'll be speaking with the producer tomorrow. Maybe I can have him come up with some type of documentary for Washington Park and place it.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Do we know if this filming is for a profit movie? I understand the lack of communication, not knowing the policy and wanting to waive the fee because of it, but this isn't a tiny fee. If there's going to be profit generated from this film, I would think the small fee of $500 from our park would go a long way. I guess I'd just like to know a little bit more about what they're filming, if they're going to end up turning a profit on this, and then they get this fee waiver anyway, just because.
You know, that's a good point. I would like to research a little bit more tomorrow, and even make sure that it's an appropriate film. A lot of it has been undercover because they didn't want people in there, but maybe there's more that I should research and get back to the board. And to find out if it's for profit.
It is a commercial film, which would fall under our $500 fee structure. Unfortunately, the mayor had promised it to them without knowing that we had this. Therefore, I wanted it on record for our state board audit that the board has already approved fees for this type of filming, so you need to waive it if we're not going to receipt it against our contract. We could, however, ask them for a $500 donation at a later date.
And when they were given permission, were they represented that they'd be able to film without a fee or any?
The mayor's assistant, Chris Yagelski, called to explain the situation. He called me directly, and that was exactly it, that they were given approval on all ends without mention of a fee. So they found themselves in an uncomfortable situation.
Right. I can appreciate that. Do they know about this fee now?
I have no added information other than what I just told you.
Okay. I'm just wondering if are they opposed to paying this, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Well, I think that's a good point, and if you'd like, if the board would like, I can resume under those circumstances and try to procure a fee.
Yeah, maybe if you talk to the producer, I'd hate for you to have to approach him in anything other than a in-kind donation of some sort that's totally discretionary, because if you go to him now and try to ask him for money, it could be perceived, I guess, almost as a bribe, almost even if before they begin, if you start asking them for money, you could explain the situation that, the board waived the fee last night. It's normal and customary, but now the communication channels broke down and they waived it so that you could come in and film. I would feel better if it was couched maybe that way, if you bring it up to him or her, the producer. That would just be how I would approach it if you're gonna discuss it at all with them. I also want to respect the mayor gave them the green light and the go ahead with no mention of the fee. So that's just my opinion.
I will be very respectful, thank you.
I had no doubt you would be. Please don't. I hope you didn't.
You're right, it could be.
I didn't mean to insinuate that you'd be anything but respectful.
I understand, not at all.
Okay. Any other or comment from the board or any comment from the public?
I'm just very curious what the film is about. Went into this blind, I don't. And our next structure is number 10.
There are no other questions or comments. What is the pleasure of the board?
I would like to make a motion that we give Ed the permission to talk to the producer and say that the board has agreed to waive the fee, and using your discretion, perhaps mentioning at some time in the future, once this film is done, if the producer or the people that are in charge of this would feel it would be to our advantage that they donate the fee and just say, this is not something you have to, we understand that there was an error, and we will waive the fee, but in the future, if it's possible, if you would make some kind of an in-kind donation, the board would accept that. That's a long motion, I'm sorry.
Understood.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, the next item is the 2021 and 2022 administrative fees and contracts. And the reason there are 2 years on this one is that we often book shelters and rentals in advance, especially for weddings. So that's why we're a year out or 2 years out on the fees.
So included in the board's packets are all the administrative fees that we handle through the park office with comparison data. And this year we are recommending no changes to any of our fees or contracts. The only change that you would see in any of the contracts is we added the no grilling rule that the board passed earlier this year. Other than that, again, you typically table these for 2 weeks for public comment, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Shannon. Any questions or comments?
Shannon, I just have one question, and this is on a comparison of fees for other area parks. And I can't give you a page number on that, but I think there was just a typo. This was comparing Washington Park, Marquette Park, Lake Street Beach, Lahaina Beach, Lakefront, and so on. And I just think that there's a typo here that I just wanted to clarify. I don't know if you're on that page.
Okay, are you talking about the shelter comparisons or the parking fee comparisons?
This is parking.
And the title of the page reads fees for other area parks.
Right.
Okay.
And down in the first column there, it has a non-resident car, $30. And shouldn't that also be a 15? Or is that correct? Resident car of 15, resident bus motorhome 15, a non-resident car at $30.
Under Washington Park?
Under Washington Park, yes.
Resident car.
It looks like they're just
Yes.
flip-flopped.
So resident bus motorhome would be 30. And resident car would be 15. You are correct.
Okay,
I'll make those corrections. Thank you, Mr. Lane.
you are very welcome.
Any other questions or comments?
This is a very well-documented report. This is amazing again. Wow.
Yeah, again, the effort to put in the comparisons to other facilities is extremely helpful. As Shannon mentioned, historically, we table these until our next meeting to offer opportunity for the public to comment. So unless there's further discussion tonight, do we have such a motion?
I would move that we table Michigan City Parks and Recreation Department proposed fees and contracts for 2021, 2022 to our October 21st meeting.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
All right, the next item is the annual approval of open accounts per small purchase agreement.
So the Michigan City Park Board approved our small purchase policy a few years back. It's in line with the cities. It does require that the Park Board approve all of these open accounts. Open accounts meaning that we have certain employees that are signatories on these accounts and are allowed to go in and sign for invoicing. So this is just our annual approval process. This also helps us too to keep track of, typically when someone leaves our department, there's a whole checklist, and getting them off the accounts is one of the first things that we do. But it gives us some control to make sure that nothing slipped through the cracks or that we don't have open accounts with vendors we don't use anymore, which could potentially lead a non-employee to go in and sign. So we just need your approval to comply with the policy that you approved.
Thank you, Shannon. Any questions or comments? My only comment is it's a great internal control procedure. In addition to that, it's nice to see so many local businesses on this list as opposed to maybe others that aren't owned and operated by local individuals. If there are no other questions or comments, we have a motion to approve the open accounts for the small purchase policy.
I would so move.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, the next 5 items on the agenda are similar in nature. So I would, without objection, I would recommend, I'll read the first one in its entirety, and then the others, I'll just read the portion that has to do with the transfers because the verbiage and all of the others are the same. So unless there's an objection, I'll begin. First one is resolution number 916, whereas the superintendent of the Parks and Recreation Department has reported that certain transfer of funds are necessary with the budget of the Michigan City Parks Department and Recreation because of unanticipated expenses from various accounts, which accounts do not have sufficient funds available for disbursement for said expense, and whereas there are funds available for said purposes in various other accounts which are not expected to be paid from said accounts during the remainder of this budget year, and whereas the Michigan City Park and Recreation Board has determined that said expenses are necessary and that an account transfer should be made in order to meet said expenses. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the following transfer will be made to the following named accounts, will be made from the following named accounts to the following named accounts for the purposes stated herein. So that's the portion that's the same in all the resolutions. So this first one is resolution 916, decreasing fund 205.000 concession fund of $90 and increasing fund 2053.000 concession fund contractual $90. Dated Michigan City, Indiana, this 24th day of September 2020, Michigan City Park and Rec Board. Unless there are any questions or comments, we have a motion to approve.
Move.
Second.
Favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
The next resolution is mentioned, similar in nature. It's resolution number 917, decreasing fund 2056.505 maintenance fund Tubes and tires, $200. Gasoline, $5,000. Medical supplies, $170. Pesticides, $387. Clothing and safety equipment, $130. And oil, $220. And increasing fund, 20505, maintenance fund contractual, $6,108. If there are no questions or comments, do we have a motion to approve?
I so move. We approve resolution number 917.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
All right, the third one is resolution number 918, decreasing fund 2056503 recreation fund electric $40 and increasing fund 2056503 recreation fund employee benefit FICA for $40. Unless there are questions or comments, do we have a motion to approve resolution number 918?
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The next resolution is the fourth one, number 919, and that's decreasing fund 2053 concession fund concessions $810 and increasing fund 2053 000 concession fund contractual $810. Unless there are questions or comments, do we have a motion to approve?
I so would like to motion that we approve resolution number 919.
Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, the last and final resolution is number 920, and that's decreasing fund 2062 000 golf fund, printing and advertising $100, and increasing fund 2062 000 golf fund office supplies $100. Do you have a motion to approve resolution number 920?
I move we accept resolution 920.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Is there any other business that we need to address to tonight under new business?
No, sir.
Thank you. We'll move on to report of officers. The superintendent's report. Mr. Shin?
Test. Superintendent's report. Thank you. I would like to start with the zoo again tonight. The items repaired in the last few weeks by the park maintenance crew at the zoo. The tortoise pool was damaged in the accident I reported on last and was repaired and rebuilt. The water heater electrical breaker was replaced, and the kitchen faucet that leaked was repaired. More jobs well done by Chris Kaufman and his crew, who are now winterizing the water pipes throughout the parks. And Pat Volz and his crew at Patriot Park, who scape acres of fields and diamonds to provide one of the nicest parks I've seen. Also to report, Jamie was allowed a grant, and the zoo grant details are, Jamie states, the zoo received a state grant funded through the Indiana Arts Commission and the Indiana Destination Development Corporation for $12,944.28. These funds were made possible by the CARES Act to provide organizations with assistance for eligible expenses during this difficult time. The awarded funds to the zoo will help cover essential animal care expenses that were usually supported through annual donations and grants and special events that had to be canceled due to COVID pandemic. So congratulations to Jamie for that grant to be procured. Next, the North Point Pavilion. There was a little water leaking in that building, so some water stop caulk was installed to prevent rainwater runoff from entering that stairwell. And I'll report back after the next rain to make sure to let you know how that went. Hopefully it's repaired. The golf course. On the south course, I would like to say nice work to Forester Jessica Arnett for identifying and executing a tree removal. This tree was considered a hazard and was removed by professionals Monday without incident. Next, Washington Park. In Washington Park yesterday, volunteers from Peepers Reading Glasses, located on 9945 US 12 in Michigan City, contacted me to offer 14 man-hours of labor. So our supervisor, Sandy Kalinowski, one of our maintenance supervisors, prepared them to landscape a portion of the property adjacent to the WPA Water Wheel Rock Garden, and they did a very nice job. Thank you, folks at Peepers. Your hard work is much appreciated by the community and the park department. Speaking of the water wheel at the WPA Water Wheel Rock Garden, our supervisor Sandy Kalinowski and our flower planter Marcia Sanders are still working diligently to remove overgrowing vegetation to finally expose this excellent handcrafted structure. I think it'll be worth it for everyone to take a look at that rock garden. It's really starting to shape up, and pretty soon, maybe by next year, we'll be having the water flowing with the wheel. In Washington Park, the Park Times, police are still locking the gates at 8 p.m. Obviously, hopefully, the city council will be able to be in agreement to repeal their ordinance, and Washington Park will be able to be open to all visitors and the fishermen. And the times will be, if they repeal, from 5 to 10, except for Friday and Saturday, it's open till midnight. That's Washington Park. Also in Washington Park, at the entrance, you may have noticed that there's been damage to the entrance structure. The stone veneer entrance structure that has been damaged by vehicular impact is awaiting repair. We are in the process of gathering quotes right now, and it appears to be spring before the repair will take place. Also, there's a jet ski race in plan for 2021. We at the Park Department have been approached by Rick Wright of the Visitors Bureau and Michelle Petro, a representative from Sport USA. Michelle states, "We plan on holding an Aqua X kickoff event July 10th and 11th of 2021, where we will invite recreational jet ski riders to attend an introductory presentation to Aqua X racing." That's jet ski racing on a large scale. The jet skis are much larger than we're used to seeing. We will hold some racing and safe boating classes for the riders, and then have some competitions like the fastest lap, buoy to buoy, and shootouts, etc. We are also planning to use this as a fundraiser for a local charity. I am thinking of the zoo in the park, maybe. This will lead up to the LaPorte race and the Michigan City boat race. So she is planning on donating some monies to the zoo if this will be carried out. Next is the Youth Day baseball camp that I planned with some instructors. Shannon helped me a lot with this, and Michelle Glidden helped me a lot with this. However, the youth camp that we planned for this Saturday has been postponed until spring. It's very disappointing that the COVID rates are climbing. I discussed this issue with our baseball instructors for this day, and collectively we decided that we would be cautious and not put these kids, their guardians, and our elderly instructors at risk. So I'm very sad to say that those kids won't get to play baseball on such a nice day this weekend. But we're going to have a nice one in the spring. Senior Center. The reopening of the Senior Center falls into a category of its own. I cannot predict how this virus will be spreading in the near future, so I cannot predict the reopening date for the Senior Center. They are our most fragile portion of the community, and I will not put them at high risk. Next, I'm going to put some documents together and bring it to the board, but I would soon like to discuss an alternative method to collect garbage in our parks and trails. Collecting garbage is a very big item in our park department, and there may be a more feasible way to collect garbage, and it would be utilizing a tote garbage can that you see on the streets quite often instead of the big heavy barrel with bags. Bags seem to be very expensive, difficult to decompose. And this would include a garbage refuse truck. So I'm going to put some numbers together and speak with some people in the department and report back. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shin. Questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, that leakage in the stairwell, is that, we've had problems before, is that continuation of that, or is it something new?
This is not something new, Phil. This is something that has been going on before I even was employed by the city. And it seems to me like it might very well be a design flaw. We're going to see if this caulk will stop the water from coming in. However, not even a trained eye can tell that the water has nowhere to go in a certain corner. So we're going to look at this caulk and see how it works. And then we might look a little bit further. I have some prices coming from Garriott on possibly another drain. So before we spend any money on that, we thought we'd look at the, simplest, least expensive way, and I'll report back to you on that.
Any other questions?
I would just like to comment on what you were mentioning about changing the garbage collection. And from the many, many years that my wife and I have been walking through the lakefront, and we've seen the amount of garbage and the number of plastic bags that you have to go through to remove all that. And if in your investigation of this, if that can be replaced, I think that would be a big, big savings. So I appreciate your idea.
I agree. I can't take credit for this. I must tell you that the mayor's administrator, Chris Yagelski, came up with this idea. And of course, I thought it was good. Anyone would. So we're putting together some facts, and I'll report back to him that you said
Thank you.
Just a comment. I appreciate your vigilance with keeping track of COVID numbers, and I agree that that should continue to be one of the determining factors on opening things back up, especially for the senior center. I'm disappointed to hear that those kids can't get out there and play on Saturday, as I'm sure you are too, but glad to hear that there's a planned rescheduled date for the spring. Yeah. And I expect once we have that date nailed down, we'll do the flyer all again and get that out for the community.
Yes, and thank you for passing those flyers out. Everyone was notified, so.
Yeah,
and I really feel bad for the seniors as well. They might feel worse than the kids not being able to play baseball. So we'll say a prayer that the COVID rates go down and the seniors can have their center back.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Any vandalism to report? No?
No vandalism.
Great. That's good news.
Mm-hmm.
We will move on to the liaison reports and start with the Planning Commission liaison, Ms. Espar.
Yes, we have not had a meeting since our last meeting.
Thank you. And the Port Authority, Mr. Freeze?
There was a meeting Monday, but short.
Thank you. And the Zoo Society, Mr. Lang?
The Zoological Society is meeting next many weeks.
Microphone.
All right. First time in many, many weeks that the Zoological Society has been meeting. So at their meeting, they will continue to discuss and organize Boo at the Zoo. And just a reminder that Boo at the Zoo is on October the 24th, the 25th, and the 31st. And it is not on October the 21st, which was listed in an article in the Herald Dispatch. So that was incorrect information. And again, for people who may be planning on bringing children down, October 24, October 25, and October the 31st. And the 31st is as long as candy is available. So I'm sure they're going to go through quite a bit. But that's the only report from the Zoological Society.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Phil, where did you say the zoological meeting will be attending?
That will be at the large shelter just outside the entrance to the zoo. That'll be at 5:30 next Tuesday.
All right, moving on to the attorney's report, Ms. Newenberg.
No, there's nothing to report right now.
Thank you. Any director's reports tonight?
Yes, thank you. I'd just like to announce the Zoo has an immediate intern position available. So if you know anyone that would be interested, you can call the zoo at 219-873-1510 or get details on Facebook.
Shannon, do you have any idea of what type of internship it is or what sort of qualifications someone may need?
Honestly, I didn't read through all the details. It did say you had to be a minimum of 18, so I don't think you really even need college experience. So sounded more like an introductory type of a position to learn about being a zookeeper.
Great.
There was a lot of details that were listed on Facebook today, but I just
Sure.
whole thing.
All right.
I was grant writing.
I actually also saw that post. I can pull it up just quickly and read that,
Sure.
if that would be helpful. So the requirements are the applicant must be at least 18 years old, provide a cover letter and resume, be able to lift at least 50 pounds and be in good physical condition, able to work in all types of weather conditions, must have a passion for working with zoo animals, especially in the barnyard and birds, provide a current negative TB test prior to the internship start date. And if you're interested, there was an email address listed for Jamie, J. Huss, Huss, at emichigancity.com.
Thank you. All right, to the next item, our department finances. Mr. Lang.
All right. Underneath claims, Michigan City Park Department claims docket for October the 7th, 2020. Municipal, $62,821.58. Golf petty cash, $1,765.70. Zoo endowment, $654.65. For total claims, $65,241.93. And I so move that we meet the claims docket for October the 7th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Payroll number 20, this is from the date September the 6th to September 19th with the pay date of September 25th. Total payroll, $54,175.65. And I so move that we meet payroll number 20 for 2020.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Under gifts and donations, Michigan City Christian Church, $300 donation for Boo at the Zoo. Michigan City Education Association, Boo at the Zoo donation of $150. Dr. Valerie Johnson, North Judson Vet Clinic, Boo at the Zoo donation of $300. Karen Swindell, Boo at the Zoo donation of $100. Laura Kopek, Boo at the Zoo donation of $50. Leeds Public House, Boo at the Zoo donation $150. Midwest Eye Consultants, PC, Boo at the Zoo donation of $150. And I so move that we accept these gifts and donations.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under Zoo Endowment, invoices totaling $654.65 were paid to Lowe's for paint, brushes, flowers, grass seed, $494.66. To Menards for a 5K watt garage heater, $159.99. And I so move that we accept the invoices totaling $654.65 that were already paid.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
As far as the Board of Works bills, there are none. Credit card charges, there are none. And that is the end of the financial report.
Thank you, Kent. Any questions or comments from the public tonight? Seeing none, any comments from the board? Seeing none, I just want to let everyone know our next meeting is Wednesday, October 21st, 2020 at 5 p.m. right here. So thank you very much. And we have a motion to adjourn.
Move.